All right. Hello, everybody. All four of us. I don't know. Sonia was here. We just lost her all of a sudden. Maybe she'll come back. Happy 6th of May and happy Monday. Welcome to our Dream Team Zoom. I'm going to do just a little bit of housekeeping before we dive into the topic for today. So, first and foremost, for anyone local to the area being Lebanon, or Cincinnati, Dayton, whatever, we are having a Thrive After 5 on May 16th. It's going to be right here, real close to my house at the Mia Cozumel, the new Mexican joint. And we have a guest coming all the way from Texas. Her name is Sandra. She will be here for that. So if you're wanting to be at the local and or just hug her neck, she will be home that week. So we will get to, I'm going to make her speak at the local. Obviously, you can't be in town and not share. But then also you guys will get to see her. So on Thursday, the 16th at 6:30, we ask that if you are coming to eat dinner, that you come around 5:30 so that we can order the food, get the food, do all that stuff before we start the actual local. And, it just gets messy if you're trying to order food while we're doing all that. Next thing on my list is hopefully you all saw last night, the bingo card was posted for today, as well as the Google link for the Google Doc for the Be Your Own Anchor Leadership Retreat. I encourage you highly to click that link and read through all the things that you are being required to do. I know we went over it last time on the power plan, but now you actually will have it in black and white in front of you. This will help you keep track. This will help you prepare. I can guarantee you, if you're following along to the bingo cards, you're going to be able to hit a lot of those things without thinking about them. If you are doing the simplified version of just the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, make sure you're double checking so you're keeping track of how many lives you've done, how many opportunity posts you've done, that kind of thing. I am super excited for this retreat. It is so fun to have something to look forward to and be working for right now. As a matter of fact, later today, I'm getting on an airplane and I'm going down to my parents' condo and I'm going to spend a few days with my girlfriend. But while I'm there, now I'm going to be looking at it through different eyes because I want to start thinking of all the places and the things that we could be doing. So Lindsay and Sam, I'll be sending you ideas and information and stuff like that. So anywho, that's all the housekeeping. So the local on the 16th and the Be Your Own Anchor, make sure you click on that link. Make sure you're tagging your team and your team members in that post also and saying click the link so they don't just look at it and think it's just the bingo card. You know what I mean? They gotta like read the whole thing. Okay. So the next thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is our ability as humans to make shit complicated because we're pretty good at it, right? Pretty good at it. So I want to ask you, like right now, if you were at a restaurant and somebody at the table next to you started choking, what would you do? Apparently this group would let them die.
Am I supposed to unmute? I mean, I would save them. I would try. I was
Okay.
gagging at the same time.
Yeah. Does anybody know the procedure? Like, what is it called? Like, what would you do if someone was choking?
Heimlich.
Yes.
Honey lick.
The Heine lick. The Heine lick. Okay. So what if, let's pretend that I'm the one that you're the one choking and I'm going to come save you and I'm going to do the Heimlich. But as I approach you, I start to explain to you how tricky the Heimlich can be. Because if I don't get you right near the breastbone, I could break it. But if I didn't go low enough, I won't be able to get it out. And I'm gonna have to squeeze really hard, but I don't want it to hurt you, right? Like you're literally choking. And I am just going over all of these possibilities, right? Out loud, not thinking in my head all this stuff in split-second timing and just doing it. I am explaining to you all the different ways this could go. This may or may not work. We're also calling an ambulance for you. Now I'm going to need you to turn around because I'm going to pull you from the back, right? And your mind, wouldn't you be like, shut up and help me? Okay. Your business is choking. And a lot of you are dancing around and explaining to your business why it's so hard. Why you don't have, I'm sorry, business. I know we don't have any new customers this week, but it's just been so hard. You wouldn't understand it, but I've been so busy, and there's these riots happening on college campuses, and so people are not venturing out on places, and so they're holding their money, and there's rumors of a recession, and well, one day last week I had a headache, and so it's so hard. Like, you are literally making it so complicated instead of just diving in and doing what's most important in the moment. And in that moment, when someone is choking, the most important thing to do, even if you break their breastbone, is to free their airway, right? Maybe you don't know how to do the Heimlich for sure, but you've seen it on TV, or you took it in high school at one point, right? You're just going to go in there and you're going to do it. And it might be dirty, it might be messy, it might hurt a little bit, but you're going to do it. And I need you to start looking at your business the same way. It might be dirty, it might be messy, but dive in there and do it. Carolyn said, I actually messaged 4 new followers today with your message. I didn't die. Yeah. I love that that's like our slogan. Like, we didn't die, we still did it. So first I'm going to go over, I actually have some notes, like the psychology as to why we make stuff complicated. And don't be offended, I'm just delivering the message, okay? And I was a little offended myself when I was reading some of this, because I'm not perfect. I do this too. I tend there, if I am unsure or I'm stressed out or nervous about something, I will definitely make it overcomplicated. But I know big picture here, we need to focus on our business and think about how we can make it as simple as possible and stop getting in our own way. So some of this is just highlights, and there's a couple things I'm actually going to read for you because I was like, oh, snap. But there are 3 main causes as to why we make things complicated. The first one is a feeling of power. And that's the one where I was like, shit, that's offensive, but it's so true. When things are complicated, not everyone can understand, right? Like, think of a doctor trying to explain something. Like, they know straight up that they're using big words and you don't understand, and they are making it complicated. Like, instead of just saying to someone, you need to take 2 Tylenol every 6 hours, they might go into this whole spiel about the anti-inflammatory benefits of da 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 da, and the reason you do it every 6 hours, and blah, blah, right? Like, they can make it really complicated because they know you don't understand. And so there are some times when it comes to your business that instead of just being point blank about what's not working, you make it complicated. Because if I can make it really complicated, Tammy, you don't understand, like, I had to get so-and-so to basketball last night, and then I had a headache, and then the girls from work were asking me to do some stuff, and then, like, it's so complicated, you wouldn't understand, right? Instead of being like, you know what, I was highly distracted this week, right? We make shit complicated because it makes us feel powerful. It makes us be like, oh, you wouldn't understand what I'm going through. I'm going to explain it to you, and I'm going to spend all this time doing that, and I'm really going to make you like think, wow, her life is so crazy. I can't believe she's even trying to do this business. It's too complicated, right? Another one is that we feel safe, which sounds weird, but if you make something complicated enough, then it makes it more socially acceptable, whether to yourself or to the whole world, that you're going to make mistakes because it's so complicated, right? Like, I'll be the first one to tell people, when I started doing reels, I thought they were really complicated and I made a shit ton of mistakes, right? I still make mistakes now, but I don't feel like it's as complicated as it was. But in the moment, when you're first learning something and people are like, oh, that's not right, you're like, well, I'm just learning. Like, I don't know. Like, it's hard for me right now. There's a level of safety in it being complicated. So again, when you're looking at your PPA and it's not where you want it to be, and you can make it sound complicated as of why it's not where it needs to be, there's a level of safety there. You're making a safety net because you're like, well, I've just had so many things going on, and da 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 da, versus, you know what, my PPA is not where I want it to be. Right? That's vulnerable to just be able to say my rank isn't where I want it to be. My PPA isn't where I want it to be. I didn't get my 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 done today. Instead of just cutting to the chase, we make our little safety net as to why, and we make it really complicated. And then lastly, and this one is very common, and I see it a lot, and I've done it before. It's because we like to feel busy. I don't know how, I don't know if it's a woman thing. I don't know if it's a business owner thing, but if Tom comes home and I'm not doing something, for some reason, I'm like, oh, I got so much done today. And I will tell him all the things I got done. And he doesn't care. I mean, he's like happy for me, but he doesn't care. Like, if I'm sitting in the chair, right? But we have this need to feel busy. Like, okay, I've just been so busy today. I've done I did all these things, and I did all of that, and I did all of that. But did you do the one thing you were supposed to do? Right? Like maybe you were supposed to message 5 people on your chicken list. That's over here, and you're super afraid of it. So over here, you were just so busy. I did all these other things. Like the chicken list doesn't even matter because I was so busy, right? People like to feel busy. So I just want to identify those because I think that we all fall in those categories off and on. Yeah, they don't care and they're fine sitting in a chair for 3 hours, but Lord, if we sit, we feel bad. Yeah. And so maybe that is a woman thing. I don't know if it's a woman thing or a business owner thing, but yeah, I just start to feel like, oh, I need to get up and do something. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the consequences of what happens when we excuse me, when we overcomplicate things. So the first and foremost is we overanalyze. I know for a fact, probably every one of you on here have had a conversation with someone when you ask them a very simple question and they go into this 20-minute explanation of how complicated their life is and blah, 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 blah. And they never really get to the answer to the question that you asked them because they've actually lost track now. And so basically it's that analysis paralysis. They analyze the whole situation to where they can't, like it could be something as simple as where are you going to go on summer vacation? And they have to start telling you, well, they're not really sure because they looked at this place, but the prices were high. And this place, they didn't have a lot of dates to book from. And this place was open, but their son has basketball camps, so they can't go, right? Like people just, they go all over the place. They just overanalyze. And at the end of that conversation, they still can't tell you where they're going because they've made it very complicated, right? They kind of illuminate the complications that much more by regurgitating that all the time. So put this in business perspective. When somebody says to you, hey, what happened with that group chat? Or hey, what happened with that person you sent the sample to? And you start talking about how you tried to reach out the one day and then she didn't call you back. And then when you called her back the one time, she got interrupted and blah, 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 right? Like stop yourself in the moment and be like, what did happen to that person? I don't know. We never fully connected. I'm going to put her on my list today. Like you can literally streamline not only your brain power, but you can streamline your business by just getting straight to what you're doing. Instead of focusing on what's really important, you start having all these side conversations, which basically that's makes things complicated unnecessarily. So that kind of goes back to what I was saying there too. Like when somebody asks a simple question, or maybe your focus this week is new customers, but you start talking about how, or start thinking about how maybe sometimes we don't even say these things out loud. We just think them in our head. But maybe your goal is I'm going to talk to 5 new customers today, but then you start to think about how, well, I've got to get this done, I've got to get that done, and then this one lady told me this, and you don't ever do what you're supposed to do because now you've made this one task overly complicated when it doesn't need to be. The other thing that happens, another consequence that happens from making things complicated, and you've all been on both sides of the fence here before, is it becomes incredibly frustrating. Right? You become frustrated with your business, or you become frustrated with your business partner who can't answer your question because they're making everything complicated, right? Like you say to them, what's your goal for the month? And they tell you their goal. And then you say, how are you going to get to your goal? And they start telling you all the reasons why it's so complicated and hard to get to that goal versus telling you how they're going to get to that goal, right? That's frustrating. But then the person on the other end who's making all those excuses, they're also frustrated because they don't have an answer either. So there's 2 things here. I'm going to put my glasses on and actually read to you because I thought they were fairly profound. And so here are some tips. These are 2 tips. There's actually 3, but 2 I'm going to read to you. How you can make things not so complicated, right? So think about this in the realm of your business. Create clarity about your results. A lot of times we're creating clarity about our goal, but that's very different. So think about that. Like if you're like, my goal is 4 new customers this week. But make clarity about the results. I'm going to secure 4 new customers this week. I'm not shooting for it. That's what I'm going to secure. It sounds simple, but it's often forgotten. Create complete clarity about what you want to achieve, because then it is only about the effective steps to get there instead of having small discussions and small details about the goal, making things, hang on, I missed that whole sentence. Instead of many discuss the steps in detail without the goal being very clear. Then this quickly becomes complicated since you take an infinite number of paths starting with the current state. So for example, when somebody says, my goal this month is 4 new customers. If you just focus on that, that's the clarity, right? That's the clarity of the goal. I didn't ask you, where are you going to go find the people? Are you going to do this on social media? Are you going to do this belly to belly? Are you going to be reaching out on reels? Are you going to be sending text messages? Because that's where you start to make it complicated, and you've got all these different paths that someone could go on and get kind of trapped in versus just staying focused. It doesn't matter how you get there. It matters that you get there. It's just like when you're out driving and you hit a detour. If I'm supposed to go from here to church and State Route 42 is closed, I'm going to have to take a side street, right? But I'm still going to end up at church when I'm done. And so if you know for certain your goal is the 4 customers, then it doesn't matter all the different paths that you're going to try to take to get there, right? You don't have to focus on all those paths, just focus on getting to those customers, and you'll find your way around to those customers versus getting lost in all the detours. Let me see, I lost my place. Moving ahead is another way of kind of getting past this. So often it becomes extremely complicated when we try to think in detail several steps ahead. How many times we do that? We're always thinking ahead. We're thinking ahead. Like Lindsay and Samantha, I was laughing when I was reading this one because I was thinking of us trying to get the qualifications together for the retreat last week, and how it kept getting more complicated, and we kept like kind of tripping ourselves up because we kept going. We were like, well, here's what we think it should be, but here's what might happen, instead of just becoming clear. So it says the uncertainties increase exponentially. And that's the thing. If you keep going 3, 4, 5 steps ahead, there's going to be tons of uncertainty because you haven't even gotten to the first step yet. So instead, it's much better and easier to take the first step, then look to the next step, because the new viewpoint you will see completely different. This line of thinking is also followed in rapid prototyping, which whatever that means, because otherwise it takes far too long and is unnecessarily complicated to bring new products to market. So when you are thinking about, I'm going to invite 2 people to the Saturday Zoom, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, but Saturday is really busy, and I know that Sally has a kid and I think they play baseball, so she might not be able to do it, but maybe she could catch the replay. And then I've never really talked to Jane about the business before. I don't know if she's going to think that's weird, right? Do you see how, like, all of a sudden, because instead of just inviting 2 people to the Zoom, I'm jumping ahead to like what I think they're going to think and what I think they're going to be doing. And I lose sight of, like, you stop yourself. You don't take that first step because you've already looked way, way ahead, but you don't know. I might send that message and Jane might say, oh my gosh, this is perfect timing. We don't have baseball this weekend. But I'll never know, right? I'll never know because I didn't ask her, because I just assumed, because I looked way, way ahead in the future and I thought I knew, and I thought I knew what she was going to feel like. So the point of this is that I know for a fact I overcomplicate things in my life. But it's funny because when other people complicate things, I'm immediately like, cut to the chase, cut the shit, stop making this tricky. Like, what are you asking me to do? Like, what do you need? Like, has anybody ever come to you to ask you a favor, but instead of just asking you the favor, they start to tell you this whole backstory as to what's happening and why and what it would mean to them? And I'm just like, what do you want? Like, I could have already answered yes or no, or maybe done the favor by the time you finish the story. Your business is saying that to you. Your business is literally like, okay, Tammy, cut the shit. Stop telling me all the reasons why or all the things you think are going to happen. Just take the first step. I heard several times over 3 or 4 conversations last night after we talked about the Be Your Own Anchor qualifications. Tammy, bring the fire. I heard, well, I think I'm going to stop doing the bingo cards because they're too hard, and I'm going to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you guys, I laugh when I hear that. I laugh because the bingo card is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the effective version of the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 that makes you talk about samples when you don't want to talk about it, makes you talk about the business opportunity when you don't want to talk about it. But guess what? Your Be the Own Anchor requirements require you to talk about the business opportunity and to do samples. It requires you to go live. So do the bingo cards. So I'm not saying you have to do one or the other, but I'm just saying if you are making an excuse and making something seem more complicated than it is to keep yourself safe, I want to encourage you to bust out of that comfort zone. So there was a conversation between these two people, and it went a little bit like this. It was actually, it was between an adult and a child. I believe she was 5, maybe 6. And the adult was talking about how, man, I can't get these pants on. The little girl was like, well, you should probably stop eating those cookies. The adult kind of laughed it off. The adult went to the closet. She's like, I just don't have anything to wear. And the little girl was like, well, you should go shopping and get new clothes. And the adult's like, I just don't have enough money to go buy new clothes. The little girl said, well, you should probably go make some money so that you can buy new clothes. Right? The little girl had the answers, not even being a smartass. She just had the answers. The adult kept making it complicated. Right? So I want you to think about what in your life is it that you want and that you want to change, but you're not willing or you haven't done the simple version yet. So if some of you are like, yeah, I really want to hit that 12K because I really could use a reliable car, or I really could use the extra money for whatever it is you could use extra money for. Okay, go get it. It's right there. Go get it. Stop making it hard. Stop overthinking it. Literally do the do. Reach out to people. Your only job as a promoter is to share Thrive with people. We make it hard. We make it complicated. We act like we don't have time to do it, but yet we're on TikTok or we're scrolling through Instagram, or we're literally sitting next to people on, I don't know, the stands at a graduation. Or you're like, right, you're literally surrounded by people, or you're searching out people on the internet, but you're just not talking about your product or your business. So you're making it more complicated instead of just doing it. Do you want a couple of new outfits? Would it be nice to get a new car? Would it be nice to maybe repaint the living room? Would it be nice to go buy mulch and fix up all the flower beds? But you're like, I just don't have the extra money for it right now. Do what the little girl said. Go get it. Go make more money. You are actually in a business that if you don't overcomplicate it, you have no cap on your income. You can never say to somebody, my boss won't pay me enough, because that's not true. Jason Camper will cut you the biggest check that you are willing to work for. And you just have to decide, are you going to play it safe and keep it complicated and keep it confusing and keep chasing your tail and getting frustrated? Or are you going to cut the shit and just do what you're asked to do? Share your product and share your opportunity with people, right? So the next time you feel yourself making it complicated, ask yourself, am I feeling nervous and I need to feel safe? And so I'm making it complicated so that if I screw this whole thing up, it's okay because it was so complicated? Or are you trying to feel like, I do know what to do, but it's so hard, it's so complicated, I have so much going on in my life you would never understand, and you're trying to have that powerful trip where you want to feel like you're doing everything even though you know you're not? Because those are really the two feelings that come up when people make it complicated. Right? I mean, and I just keep going back to the doctor explanation, but we've all probably dealt with doctors, and there are some doctors who will literally sit down, look you in the eye, and explain it as simple as can be. And some that will like make you feel like you should have gotten your own medical degree so you can have that conversation. Right? And so I'll leave you with one more example just to kind of bring it home to you. And I'm putting this on human terms, but please remember, I'm talking about your business in reality. I have a friend whose son, when he was born with multiple sclerosis. And so he is 18 now. And the amount of medication that this boy has to take morning, noon, and night to have a normal life is astounding. Like on January 1 by noon, they've met their deductible. That's the kind of medication schedule I'm talking about. His mom could either make that really complicated and make his life hard, or she can make it really simple and let him live the best free, happy life he can for as long as he can be here. So what route do you think that mom is gone? Right? They have a schedule, it's written out, they stick to it, they don't go beyond it. It's very simple. He knows what to take, when to take it, how to take it. She doesn't make it complicated. She doesn't, if she has to explain it to a caretaker or someone who's going to be helping, she doesn't make it complicated. She keeps it simple so that it can be done in a timely manner so that he can keep living his life. Your business wants you to keep it simple and get all your work done in a timely manner so that you can keep living your life, right? You don't have to chase your own tail in this company. And if you feel like you're chasing your own tail, I want to challenge you to stop and say, why am I making this complicated? Why am I making this hard? I mean, Carolyn just said she literally copy and pasted the message that was given to her, sent it out to 4 new people, didn't die, was able to get on this Zoom with us, right? She did not make it complicated. So I just want to challenge you with that, because I know that we got a bunch of overthinkers on this team. I know we do, and I love them for it, but I want everyone to get out of their own damn way. All right.
I liked yesterday when you said about, when you beat Aunt Polly to death, it's not working. Like that's where I am right now. Like I need new people. I want people like that I don't know that I can grow a relationship with. I don't want to talk to my family. I don't want to talk to my friends.
Yep.
I've been talking to them for 5 years.
Yep.
So you have to stop. I love them, but I don't want to talk to them anymore, and I don't want to hear their complaints, and I don't want to hear, I just don't.
Yep. Good. And I, in a way, I hate that you have to feel that way, but I'm also happy that you feel that way finally, that you're like, you know what, I'm done talking to the same 20 people about Thrive.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to spread your wings and meet new people. So what she's referring to is, we were talking last night on Power Plan about how it's great to make these reels and get new followers, but if you don't have a conversation with new followers, then you just you basically have a peeping Tom at your window, right?
Yeah.
Like, open the window and have a conversation. And if you're not adding new followers, you're just manhandling over and over and over the people that do follow you. So Carolyn reached out today. She reached out to 4 brand new people today and sent them a message that is not scary to send, right? It wasn't a scary message.
Mhm.
And from that, hopefully she's going to get a new conversation started.
Yeah.
So yeah, so she made it less complicated. Thank you. I love it. Does anybody have any questions or comments before we hop off here?
I do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to talk about at the very beginning when you mentioned like the person choking and like all the information. I was thinking about when I am in a group chat sometimes with people, I have had promoters tell customers who maybe have just ordered or they're about to order that they're going to detox. And I always am like, why would you do that? You're setting that up for failure. They're going to hate it. They're going to think every single symptom of detox is like life ending. Like,
Yep.
Don't tell them all the bad stuff that could or could not happen. They might detox, yes, but we don't need to prepare them for that.
Exactly.
Just like we don't want to set them up for you're going to feel amazing on day 1 and you're going to have, I always say you're just don't expect anything.
Right.
But it's the same concept.
Exactly. Yeah, they're overcomplicating. That's the we were kind of joking last night because Sonia Whalen put me in a 3-way chat the other day. The lady was ready to order. Like, she was ready to order. She didn't even need me in there. She wanted to order. But we did the 3-way chat, which is appropriate, and we went down that rabbit hole. But I didn't ask her. I didn't really have to ask questions. I didn't have to convince her. I didn't have to do anything because she was ready to order. We just kept it simple. We just kept moving forward. And before we knew it, the lady ordered. Like, Sonia was getting ready to offer her a discount on a promo, and the lady already ordered. So yeah, we don't need to overcomplicate. We don't need to put things into people's heads. A lot of times I think we try to, again, that's just somebody making that complicated. So maybe that promoter felt like they needed to know a whole lot, right? Like, be super smart so that their new customer would think they were super smart. But if you say to somebody, well, you might have headaches, or you might be dizzy, or you might be nauseous, and it's just the detox, and you might feel smart saying it, but your customer is literally gone from like, I'm so excited to thrive, to like, oh, shit just got really complicated. Like, I don't know if this is going to be a good experience or not. Like, only answer the questions that are asked. I did learn that from Jessie Lee on that training I took last year. Only answer the questions that are asked. If you start volunteering a bunch of information about things that they don't care about or they don't want to know about, like Sam's saying, especially in a 3-way chat, you're just muddying the water for them. When somebody says, this happens a lot in 3-way chats. When somebody says, well, how much is Thrive? Instead of people chiming back, well, 160 to 180, what's your health goal? We'll pick the right one for you. Well, The 3 steps, if you buy them in the pack, that you're going to get a box of free shakes and they're going to be like 160. But now we've got tax and we have shipping, but I can do like a promo code for like for free shipping this time around. And that is Greek. That is literally Greek to a customer. They do not understand what you're saying. They understand $1. How much is it? It's 160 to 180. What are your health goals? We'll pick the right one for you. Right? I'm guilty of that sometimes. Yeah. So think about that. When somebody asks you how much is Thrive, they didn't say how much is Thrive plus tax and shipping, and can I get it for free? And are there any promo codes or blah, 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 right? They just said how much is Thrive. Now they might say, oh, do you have a deal going on? Yeah, sure. We have free shipping right now for orders over $200. What would you like to add? Right? Like just answer the question that is asked. Keep it simple. We talk Thrive Talk. We talk Lavelle, right? They don't. I didn't talk Lavelle until I became a promoter, right? I didn't know all these things. Well, they don't know all these things. Sam says $400 is how much it is. Yes, just like your promoter pack investment. Yeah. So if somebody's talking to you about, well, I want to promote, how much is that going to, how much does it cost to promote? And I'm guilty of this. And this is the whole switch that we've made this week on our weekly Zooms. I've always been the one to say, well, it's free to promote. There's no overhead to promote, but I highly encourage a $400 investment in your business to get started. You can go up to 800 if you really want to dive in, but I would definitely start at 400. I have had a lot of businesses in my life. No one has ever allowed me to start a business for $500. I had a gift shop that cost me $200,000 to open the door because you have to have inventory, right? We have a bin cleaning business and we have a $75,000 piece of equipment to clean that's taking us months and years to pay off. $400 for a business? Shh, sign me up, right? So it's all coming at how you answer, how crystal clean you keep it, how you don't overwhelm somebody by making it complicated. And again, if you think about that, sometimes if somebody says how much is Thrive and you start throwing all the little things at them, it might not be that you want to feel powerful in the moment. It might be because you're so insecure, you want to feel safe. And if you keep saying things like, but there's shipping. Oh, but there's also tax. Now you're setting it up that like, if you told them 160, but now in reality it's 187, 36 cents, you could be like, well, but I said there was tax and shipping, right? That's a mindset thing. So again, don't overcomplicate things because in the end, it's just going to lead to frustration either on the customer's part or on your part. So keep track of this with your business. Keep track of this in the conversations you have with yourself, with your uplines, with your customers, and even your family when you're talking about your business. So yeah, that was a great point, Samantha. Anybody else real quick before we go? Any questions about the link for the Be Your Own Anchor? Okay, hopefully everyone that's local to me, I'll see you on the 16th at Mi Casamel. And with that, I will put this on YouTube. Bye.